Hi. I've previously reviewed books about the Beatles in Hamburg, and really, Hamburg, the district, St. Pauli, was a very particular place because in history it was an area that was exempt from the religious restrictions of the rest of the city. Uh, and so it became the area where clubs, etc., and brothels flourished. And in more recent times, the Reeperbahn, which is the main street of St. Pauli, is just full of clubs, bars, strip clubs, etc. And it's just a short walk from the waterfront. So it was very, very attractive to visiting seamen. So at various times, the rock clubs in St. Pauli were the Indra and the Kaiserkeller, and that they flourished for a bit, and then the top 10 for a short time around the corner on the Reeperbahn was the place. And then in 1962, the Star Club took over. And when that happened, the other places just kind of lapsed into obscurity, really. So at any one time in Hamburg, there was really only one prominent venue. So it was 1962, Manfred Weisleder, who was prominent in St. Pauli with his clubs and sex shows and so on, decided to open a rock venue, and he converted what was a cinema, the Stern Kino, number 39, Große Freiheit, and it converted into a really good rock venue. And compared to the previous ones in Hamburg and most of the ones in Liverpool, it was pretty spectacular. So on the 13th of April 62, the Star Club opened, and the headline act was the Beatles. Manfred Weisleder had lured them to Hamburg. He flew them over, and this shows you, even back in 62, just how popular they were. They returned later in the year 2 more times, and that was it as regards the Star Club and the Beatles. So over the next few years, you had stars such as Little Richard, Benny King, Johnny and the Hurricanes, the Liverbirds, and Jerry Lee Lewis, all starring at the Star Club. And they started making records. Some of them were recorded live on stage and some in the studio. And Jerry Lee Lewis's Live at the Star Club is arguably the best of his career. And I'll put a link to him performing one of the tracks from it. It's absolutely sensational. That was live on stage at the Star Club. The Beatles' final appearance at the Star Club was New Year's Eve '62, and they were recorded by Adrian Barber, who was the stage manager and technical manager. He had previously been the guitar player in the Big Three, and they came to Hamburg, and he decided to stay. Adrian was very much into electronics and stuff like that, and he made the famous coffin amplifiers, one of which Paul used. And that's one of the things that contributed really to the Merseybeat sound, was these enormous amplifiers. And Adrian put a Grundig tape recorder on a chair, and he recorded the Beatles set for King Size Taylor. And later on, this was the subject of a court case. The Beatles didn't want these tapes to be sold or made commercially available, but they were allowed to be sold, and you can get them. And they really are a fantastic memento of the Beatles' live performances. We haven't really got anything else like it. it's raw. They are joking with the audience. The recording quality, obviously, on just a reel-to-reel on a chair, there's no balance, but it's still, it's really good. And it's very interesting that some of the numbers are totally different. For example, the number that they do, Mr. Moonlight, which they recorded later, was originally they were playing it very quickly, and later they slowed it down. On the other hand, I saw her standing there, which Paul wrote, was done slowly in '62 at the Star Club, and obviously they really rocked it up later on. And just as an aside, to me, it's one of the 3 top British rock, original rock numbers. So I visited the Star Club in November '63. I think I might have mentioned this before on a group visit with the Cavern, and amongst the bands I saw there was the Rattles. They were a German group. They were lads who sort of hung round the Keys, which is the slang for the district there, St. Pauli, and they were really impressed with the Merseybeat guys and decided to form a band, and they were really good. And as a result of our trip, Alan Williams, Bob Wooler booked them for the Cavern, and they came over and did about a week at the Cavern, and really went down very well. Okay, so the Star Club closed in '69, so it didn't have a particularly long career, and it was burnt down in 1987. So the book, which details all this, which I should have showed you earlier, is The Star Club, the most famous beat club in the world, by Ulf Kruger. And it's a really terrific history. Lots of photos of the bands and also the memorabilia. Just get another bit I've marked here somewhere. Beatles on stage, etc. It's written in English and German, and it actually goes right back to the early days of German pop music, and then right through with the founding of the Star Club and the later years in the Star Club. People like Jimi Hendrix appeared there, and it's really great. I really enjoyed it as a memento. I must argue with the title, the most famous beat club in the world, because in my opinion the Cavern has that title, but nevertheless the Star Club was terrific. I really enjoyed my short time there, and I visited Hamburg a couple of times since, and I took some pictures and made a couple of videos, and I'll put a short video about the Star Club immediately after this, so enjoy.
At the side of number 39 Große Freiheit, which was the site of the Star Club, we have this first stone to commemorate it. And if we go down this passage to this courtyard, which would have been the back of the original club, you see that was probably one of the emergency exits, and then we have this marvellous memorial which was put there by a group of the musicians, so we can get it without the reflection. Many of the musicians who played here. And that's all that's